Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now that we're a few episodes into Daima and you've been sitting on the fence waiting for an opportunity to binge watch some episodes and to catch up even faster, you can go and check out my reviews right here because I've done every single one. So even though my review of Dragon Ball Daima episode 13 was slightly delayed, that was mainly for good reason. As you might have recalled from my previous video, I was dealing with what I thought was a cold, but it's really starting to linger right now, so I can't give you my full gamut of emotion when it comes to my feelings regarding Daima episode 13. Quite frankly, I can understand why many people probably tuned out of this episode because, as many people in the comments probably have seen on social media, it could be described as filler. But it's really a shame that many people might have just dismissed this episode because, quite frankly, it's probably one of the most beautiful episodes of Daima I have ever seen. And it was dedicated to a plot which, on the surface, might be a little bit pedestrian, not exactly really in keeping with the story. Considering that Daima is only going to be 20 episodes long, according to all the rumors, this might be seen as a waste of time. But this is a very key moment in just establishing that. You remember those portals, that kind of like little hole in the ground that had the barrier across it? Well, that's the only way that they're going to be getting to the first demon world. They're going to have to try and find that gateway in the second demon world. The showrunners and, of course, Akira Toriyama really needed to establish something, that there was a threatening presence that not even Goku could ever expect to dominate. That's why we get the people of planet Mega. And then there's planet Giga as well. That's mentioned at the end because Neva's like, oh, yes, you thought they were bad. Just wait until you see planet Giga. It's even bigger. Bigger Giga. Oh, no, that was really good. It does really change your sense of perspective, doesn't it? Because, to us, this is Dragon Ball. Probably one of the most exciting series to have come out of Japan in many, many decades, certainly from the 80s and 90s, a global phenomena. But to the people of Mega, the children and the dogs of that planet, it's nothing. It's perspective. Because throughout all of that, if you look at it from the point of view of that Mega child, that was basically just a really annoying fly that could just go pointing laser pointers at people and then just be a little bit annoying, just really weird. Whereas when you look at it from the perspective of our dragon team, it was them fighting for their lives and the dog, and oh my goodness, Vegeta punched a dog. He's not afraid to go that low. That was a moment where, even though I am encumbered with this really weird thing that is taking ages for my voice to recover properly, it did make me just scream out in my mind, Vegeta, no! And then, of course, we all do, Vegeta, yes! And yeah, can you just see why I'm struggling right now? The Goku voice is really hard to do, and it just makes me sad. But Daima episode 13 really didn't make me feel sad. It was a lot, despite not really doing much, because once again, the ship is damaged for some reason, and then they have to try and find a way to fix it. And then we just find this material, this kind of slime goop that, when activated, can run pretty much perpetually for 30 years. Bulma's trying to find a way to capitalize on it because, to quote ProZD, capitalism. Of course she's going to find a way to capitalize it because, Capsule Corp needs the money. Of course they do. That's like right before Dragon Ball Super, when she just so happens is able to synthesize time travel fuel. That Capsule Corp, you are the biggest company in the world. You do not need more money. That was something I really took away from that. And then, of course, it's just the planet of Mega and the fact that Neva is intimidated, because up until this point, we really didn't see Neva be bothered by anything because he was one of the last remaining Namekians. He pretty much seen everything. And now the Mega people and Giga people, they really, really horrify him. That's the first time we've actually seen the old Namekians scared. And that is really interesting. He does have a limit. And even though we didn't really see anything really from Arinsu or Majin Buu or Ku or anything like that, we did actually see a little bit more regarding the other relative of Shin, or Nahare, as has been revealed in Dragon Ball Daima if you've not been keeping up. Degesu, and we will elaborate this on a discussion that will come out eventually because I'm going away on vacation just to try and help recover this voice.
Degesu's become a little bit more complicated. Again, we'll touch upon this more in a really in-depth discussion. We all thought he was going to be the big bad, he would usurp Gomah, but actually, it turns out that he might have just been swept up in the hype of Gomah, thinking that he was the real deal to become the next Supreme Demon King. He was on the ground floor, but now he's realizing that he is way in over his head, trying to impress his older brother, and he's got a lot more than he's bargained for. And even though the scene with the switch and turning off Warp Summer was tinged with a little bit of comedy, the fact of the matter is, though, is that this is probably a really big deal. So to us, it's funny that, Degesu goes, oh, I can't believe it. Why would anyone do this? I don't know whether it's even possible. And he just walks down a couple of stairs. He then just sees this wall, deactivates it, switch, clunk, and then Warp Summer goes to sleep. It's not exactly Warp Summer being destroyed or something like that. It's just being turned off, which means that they can easily turn it back on again. So it's not exactly the biggest thing in the world, but to the Demon World people, it's something they really never thought would even happen. But the fact is, it could happen. And this really changes Degesu's attitude, because now he's realizing, oh my God, my boss is nuts. Haverock and I, while we've been talking about it, we really don't think he's gonna turn on Gomah, but he's gonna find it slightly harder to really get behind it, because he's realizing that his boss is now losing the plot and actually is not as impressive as he made himself out to be, or at least as composed, because he's losing his temper. He's having a tantrum, because you see right at the beginning of the episode, he's just flinging his stuff down on the floor. He's having an absolute meltdown. And Degesu is going oh, dude, this is not good. This is not good at all. And then we, of course, had the scene, Warp Summer. That was drastic action. Arinsu doesn't really seem that bothered about the warps being disabled, which probably means that she knows as well about the gateways. They will be very important because they were mentioned back in the third Demon World. It just really goes to show there are things being laid down for us, but it's going to take some time for them to all come together. Yeah, I really feel like we are going to spend at least a couple of more episodes in the second Demon World, because we did kind of rush things, and also there was barely anything to see. So now we have seen something. It's just laying down the groundwork, and honestly, I'm glad that we had just an episode just to sit back, relax, have a very GT-like plot, because giants being seen in a different scale. I recall a couple of Dragon Ball GT episodes that were like that, but I feel like that this one was done right, because if you're going to be going to a world where scale is completely different, then you've really got to make it look like you are incredibly insignificant, and no matter who you are, even if you're Son Goku, you do not figure really. Yeah, you might be wondering, well, why didn't Vegeta whip out Super Saiyan 3 or Super Saiyan 2? Well, yeah, they barely touched upon Super Saiyan, but they weren't looking to try and end the life of this Megath person. They were just merely defending themselves. So people thinking, oh man, we didn't even get any action about Goku or Vegeta taking out a small kid. Just hear what I said, okay? Would Goku or even Vegeta do that? I mean, I know Vegeta would punch a dog or something like that, but I don't think he would go as far as actually end the life of a small child, especially when Never goes on to point that the Megath adults are actually even worse and are even more destructive. And you just got to really think about the perspective here. This kid was coming back from school and sitting down and having some fried Kraken sausage or something. That was it. This kid was coming back from his daily routine, and then these bugs just swat him around, and he just goes, "Ooh." That's all he does. That in of itself is quite surreal. I really enjoyed this episode, merely for the fact that it made me think a little bit and really changed my perspective on many things regarding Dragon Ball. And just, that was all. They were just visiting a planet because, surprise, surprise, their engine broke down again. That is a thing I'm really seeing more and more of. This cannot happen again, because I think this is like the third, fourth, fifth time that either Gloria or Pansy has said, oh no, the engine's dying. Oh no, we have to stop and repair it. It's starting to get a little bit artificial, There are some cool little tidbits. We are getting the lore extended more and more, but it's coming at the cost of just really getting on with the plot. So it's a really, really tricky balancing act. I love the aesthetics of Planet Mega because it's really, really beautiful. The shades, the light, the music even. It was just so wonderful. And some of the animation was absolutely solid. There was that one bit where the Mega Child was just going, that's all they were doing. And it was smooth, like frame by frame. It had no right to be that smooth, but it was. And it's those kind of moments which just make you think, man, this was really a passion project. And this was really Toriyama wanting to have a go at a Dragon Ball GT story. This really feels like Toriyama having a go at that failed project of Toei. And I think kind of succeeding. The thing that GT lacked was heart and a connection to the original storyteller. And this has that connection, and that's why it succeeds. Because even though we weren't getting any progress about Majin Dooku, the Dragon Balls, because they weren't really doing anything. They weren't even at risk of being stolen or something like that, or being stepped on or something, because they were just either in Arius's office or in the backpack. There wasn't really much going on in that sense. This was mainly about, okay, let's provide a little bit more atmosphere, bring down the mood after the exciting events of episode 12 and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, get ourselves primed and just settled and ready for the final battle, because that will be what's happening. And I think I'll start to ramp up around about episode 16, because episode 20, that'll be the triumphant climax. That'll be then just tying everything up, getting everyone back to Earth, getting everyone back to being an adult. Who knows? We might even see them all being adults in the battle when they actually find a way to get the wish on the Dragon Balls. There'll be ways of saying, oh, where are they now? All that stuff. And finding ways to connect Daima to Dragon Ball Super. That connective tissue between the Buu Saga, Super, Daima is it. So even though there's not really much else to say about this episode from the grand scheme of things, I really liked it because it was just simple. It was beautiful, it was animated spectacularly, and everyone was on point, and it really just made me think about scale, perspective, that kind of stuff. And now Degesu, there's actually something going on with that guy. And eventually, we will talk more about him, but right now, I really need to rest this voice properly, because as you can probably tell, it's not quite there yet. And I actually recall my little one had this. It took them 3 weeks to be able to properly babble again. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. And it's really annoying too, because I can sometimes do Goku, but it's not quite there yet. And so it's that high range. The high range is my thing, and it's not there. But be patient, my friends. I will be back properly, but I really need to rest this. Normal speaking, talking, that's fine once I get some hot honey and lemon in me. But other than that, yeah, it's sad. But at least Daima, it makes me happy.